Hi, my name's Dee and welcome to Untitled Tarot and to my late full moon readings. I tried to start on the full moon yesterday. If you saw the one reading that I did present, I was having technical issues. But I really enjoy doing these Gods at Play readings, looking at the opposing forces that may be working with us over the past. Well, for today's reading, it's an interesting one because it could be for the next 2 weeks, waiting up until the new moon, and we're clearing out of the whole Cancer Capricorn cycle, which this lunar eclipse last night, which was not a good one. Listening to all the astrologers, it's not good. It could be, obviously, for the next 4 weeks, working up until the next full moon. It could be for the next 6 months, working all the way towards the next eclipse, which I think is on the winter solstice. It's interesting that this year, which is remarkable for having 6 eclipses rather than 4, that the eclipses are actually smack bang on the solstice points. So, just in case you hadn't noticed, 2020 is a really big year. And of course, there's nothing going on in the world that would give you that impression, is there? Right, so I look at the opposing forces here. This is a... you could ask a question beforehand. It's not the sort of reading where I guarantee that you will actually get an answer because, as I say, we are looking at the forces. We are looking at the energies that are at play. I have 2 rows on my reading. The top row is looking at the gods as archontic masks, as in forces that are designed to oppress us, to press us down and keep us separated from the divine. The bottom row is a more pagan view of the gods, where they are free natural forces, independent entities and energies in and of their own right, and they are working to lift us up. Now, I come from a philosophy where, within reason, and there's a comment in itself, but within reason, everything is true. Everything is real. So I can see the effects of the archontic masks of the gods, and I can see the gods. I have more of a pagan background than not. So it's I have Gnostic leanings as well. So the two sort of clash against one another. And there's always the thought that the pagan gods, if there are only archons and then the angels above them, then the pagan gods that we work with are egregores, astral creations of mankind. But these pagan gods, these egregores, are old creations of mankind. They'll have gained some wisdom and some energy and some power along the way. I don't personally think that they are egregores, although I do think that there are egregores of them, if that makes sense. Anyway, way too technical. Let's me get on to dealing the cards. So it's a general reading. There's not even an element of take what resonates necessarily because it's not that sort of reading. You can have a look at the energies and then observe to see whether they're at play or not in your life, and you're not necessarily going to know while watching the reading right now. But don't take my words as gospel, but also do watch your sun, your moon and your rising signs. I think certainly in a lunar eclipse month, watch your moon. Definitely. Watch your sun sign because, as Soul Garden TV says, Chris Witecki, that's your first story, your primary story. Your rising sign is the secondary story. Although in ancient astrology, your rising sign was the most important. But when we're dealing with moon readings, I think the moon features in there somewhere. So if you don't know what your moon and rising sign are, there's a link down below in the description. Follow that through to, I think it's a Cafe Astrology one, but AstroSeek is really good as well, because you can do all sorts of little, like change the house system that you're working with, and do you want to see asteroids or not. So I think I should start putting the AstroSeek link in there as well. There's also a link down there for a Facebook page for the channel. Now that has its own inbox, so if you want to contact me directly for a personal reading via that, you can do. I post all of these videos obviously, and all the astrology videos that I watch, and sometimes other, well, as I call it, in a respectful and reverent fashion, all the hocus pocus nonsense that I watch, because people can get too serious with this, and the whole point of existence is supposed to be working towards joy, isn't it? You know, so, you know, yes, take it seriously, but don't take it too seriously. You know, have a sense of humour about it, because the world is ludicrous. The fact that we chose to do this as incarnate souls is ludicrous, and so it's worth a smile. Yeah, I think that's it for the housekeeping. So, like I say, looking at the opposing energies, because full moon, sun opposed moon. All right, let me bring up the cards. And as ever, there is a timestamp down below. So if you've just joined us after it, welcome Cancer Rising and Cancer Moon. Now, curious God forces or God masks aligned against you here. We have Eros with love, Helios with illumination, Eostra with new beginnings, Ran with abuse, that one makes more sense, and Perseus with gifts. But what really, after all that line, we've got love, we've got new beginnings, but the story of Eostra is where the festival of Easter comes from, is that wandering out in the wilderness one time, I think that camera's a bit out of focus, so let's see, I'll show you the picture, see if it will bring it into focus. Wandering out into the wilderness one time, she came across a dying bird, and so couldn't heal it, couldn't, you know, the bird was too far gone. So using her godly power, she regressed it back into the form of an egg, so it could live its life anew. But this is the Archontic mask. This is what is there to suppress you. So when Eros first came out, I was like, huh? But then I got thinking about the story of Eros and Psyche, and how, for perfectly valid reasons, considering he was the god of love, but how initially Eros did not want to show his entire self to Psyche, because good reasons, he wanted her to love him for him, not because that he was love. And we all know that, you know, the misunderstandings and the confusion that came out of that. So I got from Eros an unwillingness to be recognised for who or what you truly are, while some facts are brought to the surface and pointed out, facts that could be based in pride or are a supreme misinterpretation of reality. And it's almost like with Eostra here and that story of the baby bird. Let's start again. It will be different this time. Then we have Ran with abuse, which speaks for itself, and Aniel, whose astrological degree represents breaking the circle. I don't think you can get more obvious. So if you are in a situation where someone is taking advantage of you, do not worry. Step out of it. You've already found something else to focus on here with all. You found something else to focus on. So carry on focusing on it. Don't get sucked back into the, oh, it will be different this time. Doesn't matter what nice gifts they bring you. Perseus here with gifts. Use your wisdom to refuse them and find that inner poet. It's almost like this is a perfect reading for someone getting ready to leave an abusive situation. And so rather than explain all the ins and outs of all the various gods here, just think of that image of if there is some form of abusive situation in your life. Now, it doesn't necessarily need to be domestic abuse, physical abuse. It could be an unequal and domineering friendship or business partnership or work relationship. It could be the relationship that you are actually having with some form of subject, some form of topic, some form of area of your life. But it is time. Oh, these nice cards on the bottom here. It is yes, this is lovely. Right. So going along the top, we do have a devil card, so I will clarify that. Going along the top, there is the star, where you are not wanting to reveal yourself because you think that's the wise thing to do, and you think that the situation that you're in is some form of wish fulfillment. My advice is wish for something different. But the illumination, what is highlighted by the fact of previous events or previous statements or details being highlighted, is in a fashion to say, right, that's the end of this. No, it's not. Because this new beginning that is promised comes along and it's slow, if at all existent. And it's just going to be the same old Hierophant again. Funnily enough, Hierophant appeared in exactly the same position on the last reading, Gemini. And it will take strength to resist the gifts, the bribery, but it also takes wisdom to recognize them for what they are. With all focusing in a new direction, this brings prosperity, but it also brings destruction. We have Gaia here, which I'm feeling wonderful about, but clarified by the devil, which I'm still feeling quite good about, is that Capricorn energy about structure, but also it's the, oh, what do you call this, tarot? Prisma Visions. And the devil card on this is the Red Forest, which is an image from 12 Monkeys TV show. Again, that idea of going back and changing things, but going back and changing things doesn't work. It causes destruction in and of itself. The Tower, that you want some destruction in this relationship between you and a negative friend, a negative work colleague, a negative situation. You know, I mean, it might not even be a person. Or if it is a full-on abuse situation, then get the hell on out. You know, I know you'll only do it when you're ready, but do it already. Because new purpose is coming to you. But that new purpose, you have to focus on declaring your own sovereignty, which will then cause destruction of things around you. Well, obviously. But then that gives you new purpose. Pele here with purpose, clarified by the Ace of Wands. A new beginning, new fast moving forward. Then there is a wonderful growth from purpose to inspiration to wisdom. And the wisdom is to resist that come back, Come back, because everything will be lovely. It won't happen again. We're going to undo everything. It won't be like it this time. No, they've had their chance. Move on, and moving on brings you to the Ten of Cups. You know, there's better than wish fulfillment, happiness and joy. So move on. Let them go already. There's nothing else that I can say to that. So if that means anything to you, Cancer. Oh, and stop being so scared of hiding your true self. So scared so that you hide your true self. Sorry, that's a more grammatical way of saying it. I've actually got the phrase in my head right now. Let your freak flag fly. And I'm having problems with F's today, as you can probably tell. So if this means anything to you, Cancer, comment down below. Like, share, subscribe, obviously. And I don't know what to promise for your next reading, because it's been a little chaotic recently, whether it's Mercury retrograde or the eclipse or tech problems or work issues or what have you. So there'll be another reading soon. All right, good luck and get moving. Cheers.